Yoshi. I'm doing Yoshi. Of all of the characters in video game history, I mean the literal thousands upon thousands, I have to do a sidekick already. Alright, I mean, he's not a main character, so he can't be that bad. He can't have that many titles.
Well, I guess technically if we're looking at every single Yoshi game on stuff like handheld and console, that means we're gonna have things like Yoshi, Yoshi's Cookie, Yoshi's Safari, Yoshi's Story, Yoshi's Island, of course, and, well, Yoshi's Universal Gravitation.
Get ready for Hero Unlocked. So we don't get to talk about actual character creation very often, so I am very excited to tell you a story that many of you know. But it's coming out of my face, so it's admittedly different for that reason alone, and therefore, it's better. It goes like this. Shigeru Miyamoto, aka Daddy Mario, had this idea to incorporate a dinosaur for Mario in the first Super Mario Bros. His design came particularly from Tamagon of Devil World, a green dragon sharing both a similar color and spines to the character we now know. Yoshi wouldn't come about until Super Mario World in 1990, but we do know that Miyamoto even wanted to have him in Mario 3. But as with Mario 1, the NES limited the possibilities for what games could be. Hooray for early hardware, am I right? It should also be noted that Shigefune Hino was the character designer for Super Mario World, and so the character Yoshi that we know now should be attributed to him. Now let's get to the games. I'll save Super Mario World for a later date and cover most of the main Yoshi games. So we'll start with Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. This title was released in August of 1995 in Japan. While doing the research for this title, I came to the realization that Miyamoto wasn't the biggest fan of Donkey Kong Country. This is because the marketing team that he brought his new Yoshi game to rejected it for not having the same art direction as DKC. Yeah, he was pretty pissed. He came back later with a hand-drawn style, and this idea was accepted. Okay, so if you haven't watched the Star Fox video, then you should know that there was a computer chip known as the Super FX chip used to help, make polygons usable on the SNES. Well, the game was originally programmed for the Super FX chip, however the game moved on from this and became the first to use the Super FX2 chip. If you're into that. One of the most iconic visual effects that the chip helped accomplish was the 70s style trips Yoshi would go on during the game when he would come in contact with these floating spores. Needless to say, upon release the game was adored. I first played this game on the GBA after its re-release. While I know this isn't the best way to play it, I do know that I had a great time. So yeah. It felt so much more involved than many other platforms, and I really liked it, except for the crying. So much crying. 1997 rolls around and yeah, Japan gets Yoshi's Story. The US receives this video game equivalent of getting a birthday-themed shirt as a gift. Yeah, it's nice for a very short moment and then it ages horribly and ends up at Goodwill. Like many of the 64 DD's games, this one was planned for the discs and then moved back to cartridges. Now, the only thing really notable about the development process was that the time between the Eastern and Western releases was mainly due to the game's negative reception in the East, namely that it was entirely too easy. Then the game came over and the chief complaint around the title was that it was too easy. Yikes. Look, there's nothing wrong with a game being easy or for children, but there's a limit. Think about the difference between Kirby's Epic Yarn and Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. Both are easy, but they are very different types of easy. Then there's Yoshi's Universal Gravitation. It exists. It's also known as Yoshi, Topsy, Turvy, depending on geographical location. This was a title that featured a sensor within the Game Boy Advance cartridge that was used to manipulate objects and enemies within the title. Woohoo. Next up, in 2005, Yoshi Touch and Go was released. Now, here's my biggest issue with this title right off the bat. Its freaking title. I get it, it's a Nintendo DS game, cool, you can use the touchscreen for a lot of actions, but I mean, Touch and Go is a horrible name. The phrase is a colloquialism in America that never means anything good. The phrase often means we don't know what the outcome is, i.e. your uncle fell butt first onto a cactus. Things are a bit touch and go, and he may lose his butt. Anyway, this title utilized both screens on the DS for gameplay. The gameplay itself was not traditional. The game contains 3 modes at the beginning: score, attack, marathon, and multiplayer. In this title though, there isn't a traditional story mode, so the player plays what is effectively a series of arcade modes. Next up is a much more traditional Yoshi game.
Oh, thank goodness. Anything but variety.
I know, right? Disgusting. Yoshi's Island DS made its way onto the Nintendo DS in November of 2006 in the United States, and then later to Japan in 2007. This title was developed by Artoon. These are the same guys who made Universal Gravitation.
And now I'm concerned again.
And no one could blame you. It's a terrifying thought. But we'll give credit where credit is due. The team managed to put together quite a likable game in the franchise. I won't lie, I think I might like this one a little bit better than the original. The main reason why is the plethora of babies. Aside from the snubbing of Waluigi, I think it's something that should be revisited. I mean, we have quite a few more babies they could use.
Yeah, like you got baby Daisy, you got baby Rosalina. Hell, you even have the baby.
While a fantastic joke, I feel as though it's going to date this video horribly. Oh well, let's move on. As we mentioned before, the game featured multiple babies for Yoshi to protect. Each one possessed abilities that allowed for varying gameplay styles. Baby Mario gave Yoshi a dash and could utilize Super Baby Mario, while someone like Baby Wario attracts metal items within the game and makes Yoshi's eggs bounce. 2014 brought us the Lion King 1.5 of the Yoshi franchise, Yoshi's New Island. This title came to us in the US first, which I mean, is pretty cool. It retains some central gameplay elements to the franchise, but with none, and I mean none, of the charm at all. Yoshi now has new transformations that he can take on, and you can use the 3DS's gyroscope to control them, which I guess is a pretty cool addition. Oh, and there are giant eggs. Shoot, where's Billy Hatcher when you need him? Yoshi's Woolly World was first released in 2015 on the Nintendo Wii U, and then again in 2017 on the 3DS. Yoshi's Woolly World is a bit of a departure from the recent gameplay. This is much more akin to Yoshi's Story. The company behind the title was the same company that brought us Kirby's Epic Yarn, so whatever that means to you, take it and run with it. The game takes place in a world almost entirely composed of arts and craft supplies. The game is a much more traditional platformer without Mario or the other infants. Another change to the game is that Yoshi's enemies don't grant him eggs, they instead turn into balls of yarn. The game also released along 3 Yoshi amiibo. These special amiibo were of course made of yarn. It seems that the overall struggle to give Yoshi his own identity outside of Mario is a never-ending one. One that especially should not have been done in this style if it was intended to be his definitive standalone franchise. People know that Paper Mario isn't real Mario, much in the same way that Funko Pop Marcus Phoenix isn't Marcus Phoenix. It just reeks of spin-off, and I don't think this is a great image for Yoshi.
They made another one.
Son of a bitch! Yoshi's Crafted World, the sequel to 2015's Hobby Lobby and Nintendo merger. So Goodfeel is back to give us another title in what is shockingly becoming a sub-franchise within the Yoshi universe. I'm not gonna lie, I think this may be a right move here. They weren't seeing much success trying to make lightning strike twice, so maybe this is the right direction. While they didn't necessarily do that with these games, I do think it's a great way of moving Yoshi away from just being a sidekick. Something that, you know, should have been done for Luigi. Let's talk about some things specific to this game, namely the fact that we were lied to about some of the game's features. In the original reveal in 2017, we were given the impression that we could rotate the map freely. This isn't how things are done in the final game. It's safe for specific bonus missions. That being said, it's still impressive how the levels are constructed in 2.5D. You can move in and out of the foreground, which is pretty impressive. I love being able to do that.
Oh, we're getting into lore? Alright, I can pay attention again. Thank goodness.
I hate you so much. Thanks for being here. Okay, let's do this rundown. I mean, I basically have to. This is the Mario universe we're talking about, and the story is rarely ever a strong suit. So this is pretty much the only thing I can do. Alright. 1991. Any of you out there like puzzle games? No one? Oh damn. 1992. Yoshi opens a bakery. It has 1.5 stars on Yelp. 1993. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. That and burning reptiles. 1995. Yoshi joins the cast of Nanny 911. Nanny McPhee is quite impressed. 1997. Yoshi's life is adapted into a book. It's written by George R.R. Martin. 2004. Neil deGrasse Tyson narrates a lesson in video game physics. 2005. I am all out of pop culture references. 2006. Who the hell is still hiring these storks? I smell a class action lawsuit. 2014. What is the chicken's favorite Starbucks order? An espresso. Yeah, there had to be at least one of those. 2015. Special thanks to Joanne, Michaels, Ackmore, Nasco, and Blitzy.com. 2019, closed captioning provided by Blick, Etsy, Utrek, Uli, and Simon Says Stamp. So, who is he? Yoshi is, as far as I know, a very interesting story in franchise evolution. While still a side character, he, much like Wario, is given positions within his franchise to make us realize his importance. Unlike Luigi, his status as a sidekick doesn't seem to weigh down the memorability of his titles. This is why Yoshi is making his way into popular culture. He's beginning to stand more and more on his own, and as impressive as this is, we as Nintendo gamers still lose our minds when Yoshi makes an appearance in a mainline Mario title. And that is something really special. So, keep hatching those eggs, and while you're at it, stay perfect.